no one else is willing to see. We do things others can't do.
Ghostbusters.
If there's a paranormal problem, we're the ones to answer the call.
Hello.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. Welcome to another of my dumpster fire reviews. It's no surprise that my next dumpster fire review focuses on the car crash that was the 2016 Ghostbusters film that was directed by Paul Feig, starred Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones and Chris Hemsworth. Where do we start with this film? We shall start at the beginning. Now, I'm a fan of Ghostbusters. I'm trying to think of the most appropriate place to start before I rip this film to shreds. I'm a fan of Ghostbusters. I grew up on the first Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. Great films, especially the first one. We've been crying out for a new Ghostbusters film for a long time, and for whatever reason we never got it. The closest we ever got to it was Ghostbusters the video game, because all the original cast came back to voice their characters, and I believe it was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, certainly one of them anyway. So it never happened. My understanding is that Bill Murray had fallen out with Harold Ramis while they made Groundhog Day, and that's why they never came together and make another Ghostbusters film. So it looked at this point in 2016 that we were never going to get another Ghostbusters with the original cast. So the only option really for fans was a reboot, a reimagining of the franchise. And I'm not totally against that at all. In most franchises and films, and sometimes it can work. And then they continued making these announcements. Paul Feig as a director. Okay. Not a massive fan, but there is some talent there in regards to certainly comedy directing. And then they announced it was going to be an all-female cast, and then, everybody immediately dived on it and hated on it. My initial reaction was that's a mistake, because it's just going to cause controversy, and it's going to put eyes on this franchise for the wrong reasons. If they'd have gone with 2 male and 2 female cast members and split it that way, I think that would have ironed out the issues and made it probably much more palatable to many. But they didn't. They went for an all-female cast. And I was still willing to give it a go because I was just desperate for a Ghostbusters film. And then I watched it. Well, when I say I watched it, I got about 3/4 of the way through it and I couldn't take any more. It was just shockingly bad in every way, regardless of any of the controversy that you want to tie to this film in regards to, get woke, go broke, all-female cast. You could go on about all the political connotations that are connected to this film, but strip it right down to being just a film. It is garbage as a film, and I'll try and explain why I think it's garbage. Right, we'll give a little brief outline of the story in case you haven't seen it, and lucky you if you haven't. We are introduced to 3 new characters initially. Abby Yates, played by Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig's character Erin Gilbert, and Kate McKinnon's character Julian Holtzman. And they essentially become the new Ghostbusters. They start investigating these ghost sightings around New York City, and then Leslie Jones, who works on the underground, comes on board and becomes the 4th Ghostbuster. So they're investigating these ghost sightings around New York City, and it is being instigated by, I don't even remember his name, the antagonist of the film, who is probably the worst antagonist of any film, and he's doing it because he was bullied. So he's like encouraging these ghost activities so that he can become this all-powerful spirit himself and take out his revenge on all those people that have been mean to him. And then the Ghostbusters, rally together and save everybody. So it's the weakest kind of rinse and repeat you could imagine of the first film, I suppose. And you could argue that for the new film, Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's a rinse and repeat of the first film in many ways. But they did it with respect. They did it with real heart and emotion. And it was entertaining, it was funny, it was fun, and it was a blast. And it didn't care about who it was trying to satisfy other than the fan base. Just focused on making a good film. And this film was so focused on everything but that. The writing is awful. The film is dreadfully unfunny, and that's a compliment. And it shouldn't be, not with this talent involved. Melissa McCarthy, think what you want about Melissa McCarthy. There's talent there as an actress and a comedy actress. She's proven it. She's awful in this film. Every comedy cliche you could imagine. Kristen Wiig is playing that awkward character she plays all the time in Paul Feig films. Yeah. Kate McKinnon tries really hard to be the brains of the outfit. And Leslie Jones, whose comedy stylings relate to basically just shouting at everybody loudly. That's her comedy stylings, and it's so annoying. I can't remember what film I saw her in last year, I think it was, where she was doing the same thing, just shouting. So they're all intensely annoying characters to start with dreadfully poor writing, with nothing interesting to say or do. Most of the time, they're just dancing about. The first time they see a ghost, they decide to have a dance. There's more dancing involved. They have a dance with Chris Hemsworth. There's more dancing at the end of the film, where they get Hall of New York City, it would seem, to have a little dance. And Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy do some kind of dance. It's almost a musical, this film. Might as well have just gone out and completely slapped the franchise in the face by turning it into a musical. And it can't be ignored, literally every single male character in this film is either mean, incompetent, stupid. That can't be a coincidence. Chris Hemsworth, what was he doing signing on to this film? Did he actually think this film was going to be good? He knows what good writing is. He's been involved in the Marvel films. He knows what good humorous comedy is, in regards to the content he's been given for Thor and other stuff. Don't understand why he agreed to do this film. It's terrible. He's just the stupidest character of all time, and it's not funny. Andy Garcia as the mayor has the best line in the film when he basically says, "Don't compare me to the mayor." In Jaws. That's the only slightly amusing line in the whole film. Other than that, this film can only be described as cringy, not funny. It's facepalm after facepalm watching this film. And I have got through it somehow the second time of view, and I've rewatched it to prepare for this review. And I fought through it, but it took me 3 sittings to get through it. I had to have a break over 3 days. So I watched one bit one day, second bit the second day, and the last bit on the third day. That's how bad this film is. It's awful. And there's so many shocks and surprises here. How on earth? I'm gobsmacked that Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman were involved in this film as producers. Did they look at any of the dailies? Did they look at anything associated with this film? Did they check out the script? Crazy. And then obviously we get the cameos from all the original Ghostbusters. And they're all forgettable. They're all pointless. We get Sigourney Weaver making an appearance. Okay. Ernie Hudson right at the end playing the uncle. Janine makes an appearance. They all turn up at some point. The only one that doesn't turn up is Rick Moranis. And, again, adds nothing to the film. They're just cameos. And when you consider how bad this film is, they must have been pretty ashamed, actually, to turn up in it, some of them. And then the uniforms that they wear are appalling. They don't look like Ghostbusters uniforms in any way. They're just like jumpsuits with red stripes on. Terrible. The only thing about this film that I can give it any kind of slight compliment with is the effects are okay. They're actually pretty decent at times. I like the design of some of the ghosts, if not all. Not all of them. I thought that dragony ghost was ridiculous, and a couple of others looked a bit off. I wasn't keen on Slimer, what they did with Slimer in this film at all, driving cars and stuff like that. It was just, please don't do it. So, to summarise then, this film is a shit show. Basically, it's an example of how not to reimagine or reboot a franchise, and it was so bad, it left such a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Thank goodness that we have had our palate cleansed by Ghostbusters Afterlife that has just been released, that I absolutely adored. This film, appalling, shocking, terrible. It gets 9 dumpsters out of 10. Really, really bad. Yeah, so give me some suggestions in the comments, guys. Any dumpster fire movies that you think I should be focusing on. And of course, I'll be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.